Hello. I'm back. I wanted to talk to you a little bit more about the Journal Cookbook and get sort of started on some of the things I'm going to do with it. The first thing I want to talk to you about is the fact that I'm going to alter these dividers. And I wanted to show you how you could make your own dividers while I alter mine. These little numbered tabs are plastic, which will make them sturdy, but for me, that's not going to work. I need to be able to read what's going on those. So for right this minute, I'm going to change these just a little bit, which makes me think I need some of the ones from the bottom. I'm going to put my own tabs over the top of these so that I can write on them. So I'm going to set those aside and show you how I'm going to make the little tabs that something sort of similar to this thing that sticks out and has enough to glue on. The first thing I'm going to use is this tab punch board, but don't feel like you've got to go get one. I have it. I love it. Don't get me wrong. There's a link in the description box to get it. I just like it. I use it a fair amount because I like it as the tops of tags and just all kinds of things. I have to put down my note to myself. But I'm going to make my own little tab dividers that can be glued on. And I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, there is a punch out there somewhere in this world called a whale tail punch, I think is what it's called. And you can make these tabs with that, but it's discontinued and I don't have one. The other thing is you can make this as large or as small as you want. And that is my purpose for putting the dividers together the way I want to do it. Because I want some great big dividers like this, which these are 4 inches long. And what I start with usually is a piece of paper that's as long as I want and about 3 inches wide. Now, for some unknown reason, I cut this wrong. So it's not a big deal if it's cut wrong. This one's cut 3 inches and folded in half. That's the other thing you want to do is you want to fold your paper in half. Now, whatever size divider you want, whether it's big or tiny, you want to get your paper folded in half. Then you take your paper, and I'm going to do it on this one, and you take the folded side and you put it against the guide right there and punch it, and you end up with that punched part like so. And so it looks like the top of a file folder, or yeah, I mean, you can put these on faux file folders, index cards, anything you want to divide. This is a little tiny one. You notice it's folded in half. Now this is a scrap, so I didn't measure it. It's just, you know. But you do the exact same thing. And I'll get a tiny divider. And like I said, I took this out of my scrap bin, so it's not something I was planning on using right this minute. But say you don't have this, okay? It's not something that if you don't think you'll use that I'd run out and buy just for this project, by any means. This is my corner chomper. And if I take my 1/2 inch corner chomper, I end up with a pretty nice page divider. Just a minute, let me get hold of one of these. Come here. That I could put on and have a nice little divider just with a corner rounder. Just with a corner rounder. But if you have one of the fancy corner rounders, okay, I'm going to do both sides. One is a stub and one is a scallop on this one. And again, I like this. That one looks almost like my original one. Where's it at? Not quite, but almost. Let me show them to you on the page. So most of us have a corner rounder, and either one of these would work great to make a little tab. So if you didn't have tabbed pages, you could just take some cardstock or some heavier paper, sketchbook paper or something like that. You want your dividers to be a little bit sturdy, and you could create tabs so that you could make some dividers. Let me put these away so that are out of the way anyways. So now I want to make some large dividers for my plan is to go and have the main categories be large dividers so that the smaller dividers will fit behind it, easier to find. I sort of decided that these might be a little bit big. We'll see later. I went down an inch. These are 4-inch ones. These are 3-inch ones. So I think my main categories are going to be 3-inch dividers. Now see, if I glue that on there, then I glue the next one down. There's I can get 4 or 5 large categories, which then I can put smaller tabs behind. So I have some 4-inch ones because those are going to be the biggest categories, and then these will be subcategories, then there'll be smaller categories, and I just am going to use a mixture of cardstock that I have that is light enough to write on and do that. So now I will show you how I'm going to glue these on so that you can see what I'm doing. What my plan is. It does not require a lot of glue, but you want to glue both edges, and I need this to be glued together in the middle, so I did put a little glue on the actual tab that sticks out. And then I am just going to sit this in here. Now, if you didn't have a divider that you were using to stick it on, find some spot on your tab that makes sense. This tab sits right there. This one, we'd probably want to measure a little bit. Say, make sure the tab sticks out about 1/2 inch. And stick it on. Okay, so I'm just going to glue my dividers. Glue this stuff over the dividers. I'm just like I said, I already had the dividers. I just don't like the fact that I can't write on them. So that is a project I'm going to have to do. I'll probably work on that a little bit on Sunday. Just to accomplish it. But for now, I want to work a little bit on some of the categories that we want to talk about. And I pulled out several little journals that I have made in the past so that we can talk about the overall parts of what's going to go in this cookbook. A journal has different parts. So if we're thinking about the journal as a whole, or the journal as a meal, it's a complete meal. That is, it's hard to write with that ink pen. That is what we're going to start with, is the complete parts of the journal. So one of the first things we have to think about is, what are the parts of a journal? First off, we need a cover, right? We have to have some kind of cover on our journal. So we have a cover. Now, you could mind map this. I don't work real well in mind maps. I work better in lists. That's just the way things work for me. So that's the way I do things. Please do it however you want to do it. One of the things I know is that my little notes are going to end up in there, but they're probably going to be scribbled for a while, and I'll probably have to go back and make them a little neater. But some of the categories, and that's where I'm at right now, is categories of what's going on my dividers. What am I going to put in here? And the journal has to have a cover, right? It has some kind of cover. Okay, there's going to be a whole lot of ideas behind this in the cover. The next thing we have to have is pages. And there's all kinds of things that can be pages, right? Okay, so we have to have pages. Then we have to have some kind of binding. This happens to be a pamphlet stitch. This one's a pamphlet stitch. Both are sewn in. This is a journal that I made. This is what's called a flow journal. And its binding is elastics. So all of these pages can actually be pulled out. The signatures can be pulled out, and the pages can be used. This happens to be, I think we better back up a little bit. This happens to be a journal that I made from a Painty Paper Swap. So all of these came from other artists, and each folio, each signature is, each signature, not folio, each signature is an artist in itself, and they are elasticed into this. So we have to have some kind of binding. Okay. We also need a closure. Now, some journals don't have closures. Okay, this one has this cool ribbon yarn stuff that I pull around here and gets tied and makes me happy because it's all bright and pretty. This one doesn't have a closure. Okay. This one has this odd little closure right here where you tuck this. You tuck front part of the cover is tucked into another piece. It's a closure. So you have to have some kind of closure, but you don't have to have that on every journal. So that's, you know. The other thing we have to have is decoration. Okay, we want decoration. Okay, on this one, the decoration is sort of the fact that all of these are painty papers, right? That's about as far as I went in the paper department. But then I put Julie things on the cover. So there's, you know, that option. There is decoration in the fact that we have added pockets and tags and things like that in here. So that's kind of the decoration. Edge trims would be another one. Let me show you this. First off, it has very strange pages because they're made out of tea bags. Okay, but then it has a lot of fun decorations. Now this was never meant to be a journal that you wrote in. This was meant to be more of an art journal situation, but all of the decorations are part of it. It's also got very odd pages. So we have a lot of options that we can have within our journal. Okay, so that is what I think is the main categories that we're going to have in our journal as a complete meal, as a finished journal. This is decoration. It's journal jewelry. It's on the outside. It's also part of the binding. I didn't get out one of my bindings where they're, just a minute, I can grab one. This is always right here. This is a single page binding that I use a lot. It's called a slip knot binding, and it's designed to put together heavy single pages. So it's a single page binding. So there's so many different options for bindings and things like that, that we have to look at bindings as a separate thing. Okay, so I think those are the main categories, but I'm not going to tell you that's all the main categories, because I'm going to pick up something tomorrow and realize I forgot that. So that's one of the things I want to talk to you about in the live stream, is if you have any more ideas, and if you have them, put them in the description box or the comments. But tomorrow or Sunday, I'll probably pull this out and talk to people about it a little bit. Anyways, so that's part of the thought process behind this. Guys, I'm sorry that this is not coming out like a tutorial, because it's not really a tutorial. It is more of a, I'm working through this, and I thought maybe you'd like to be with me on this journey kind of thing. Okay, but to do a lot of these things and to complete a recipe for a cover or a page or a binding, we're going to need some supplies. And this be like ingredients for your recipes. So, ingredients would be another portion of the things we need. I would say we're going to have a lot of ingredients, and I would say that ingredients is going to end up with multiple categories, multiple page dividers where I have to add things in, because if we look at this as supplies, okay, we know that our studios are absolutely filled with supplies. We're going to have paint. Okay. We're going to have paper. We're going to have every known imaginable thing, images. Fibers. Fabric. You can look at one of these journals and see that there's going to be all kinds of, we're going to have die cuts. No, it'd be an I. Okay. So there's going to be multiple things for supplies, and that's something else that I think that I'm going to leave until the live stream, till my live stream, and I think I'll talk to y'all about it, and maybe we can mind map some of that or brainstorm some of that together, because, you know, even if I just took paper and started breaking it down, we've got book pages, well, right here's tea bags. We have painty papers. Maps. So there's multiple things within each supply as well. So the ingredients is also going to be a very long list, and the supplies are going to be a very long list. One of the things about using a 3-ring binder and dividers that we talked about is the fact that we can also move things around. You know, once I get started, if I need more pages, I can add, subtract, throw in, take out, move something from one spot to another that will make it work for this project. Okay, let me see here. I don't want to get this video too long. So besides the parts and pieces of a journal that we want to talk about together, our supplies are something I'd like to talk about together. And then I think that listing tools might be helpful. This would be like your pots and pans, okay? When you fix a recipe and you're baking a cake, it will tell you to put it in a 9-inch round cake pan, or a 9 by 13-inch pan, or a pie plate, or something like that. So those are your pots and pans, the things that you use. We have tools. We have corner rounders. We have punches. We have die cuts. Oh, they would be just dies for making die cuts, right? We have hole punches, like my Big Bite. And it's a hole punch, but H-O-L-E. Sorry, guys, I cannot spell, and when I'm thinking, I really can't spell. It's a hole punch, but it's also puts in eyelets. Okay, I forget about using eyelets. I've got a ton of them, but I forget to use them. That's another reason why I wanted to do this. I need to have something where I can remember all the stuff I do have so that I use it. I got these 4 journals out, and there's not an eyelet in one of them. There's no reason why not. So besides listing our supplies, okay, I have beads like you wouldn't believe. And buttons. So, okay, I've got beads and buttons. I've got buttons. I also have these fun little wooden die cuts. This was a very specific journal, and that we used tea bag little things. And I am going to break down some of these journals and write out what we did and do some little discussions about them. But to get the basics of our cookbook together, these are the things I want to talk about. And I think that I'm going to ask you to think about this if you want to play along. You can put comments down below, or if you do come to my Sunday live stream, because I think starting on Sunday I'm going to start working on this a little bit each week. I'm probably not going to try to break everything down each time, but I probably will start talking about certain parts of it. I mean, when we talk about the covers, there's so many options for covers. There's so many options for pages. Most pages are paper, right? So if we break down the different kinds of paper that we do have, we know what we have, and we can grab a piece of... The point is grabbing what we want to accomplish a journal, knowing what it takes to make a journal, and having that information all in one place where we can look at it real quick and remember what we've got, step up and make a journal and get it accomplished or finished, or, you know, brainstorm what we want to do, create recipes that we've already done, and then add new recipes, find new meals. Okay, so that is where I'm going to stop for today. I really want to talk about this live, so I'm going to probably start spending a little bit of my Sunday time working on this, and not a lot, but just a little bit each Sunday. And it's also not going to happen every Sunday. You know, it just isn't. But I hope this is a project that will help you too. That's what I'd like to have it do, is help you too. So I'm going to go for now, and I'm going to tell you, go have fun, make some art. Bye-bye.